Yes.
Like, we're not here.
All right, and this is Cait Ryan. I'm
Hi, everyone.
Andrea Perry. We're part of the User Assistance group here at TechSmith. Cait works on a lot of tutorials. If you want to tell them a little bit about what you do.
I'm an instructional designer, so I'm part of the group that makes the video tutorials that you see on our website, and we also work with the development teams to advocate for you guys, the users. So, yeah.
And then I work on documentation for Camtasia. So this session was requested to highlight advanced features of Camtasia and also to share more about the interactive features such as quizzing and hotspots, making your video searchable, and adding a table of contents. We do have both platforms to cover in about 45 minutes. So how many of you are primary Windows or PC users? And Mac? Okay.
So do you want to split off or?
All right, we're going to
stick
throw this
together?
out to you guys. Do you think it would be helpful to see both? Or would it be helpful for the Mac group to break off and we can go over to the red room?
Okay.
All right. We'll do both, and we'll switch between both. Stop us if it gets too confusing at any point.
Yep. So I guess we can just switch back and forth and plug in the different views. All right. So like Andrea said, we're going to go through primarily the interactive features. Before we get started, the interactive features are pretty much entirely held within our video player. So if you're hosting on Screencast.com, the interactive features will automatically work for anything that you upload there and share either with that link that you get or the embed code from Screencast.com. If you are a more advanced user or you're using your own hosting service, you can produce with the video player and host on your own site. That's much more technical. And if you have trouble getting started with that, we'd be happy to hook you up with our technical support team to help with your individual hosting needs. But for the most part, the easiest way to use these features is to host on Screencast.com. So any questions on that before we get going? All right, cool. So the first feature we're going to take a look at is the table of contents. This is a pretty simple interactive feature to use. And it basically, when you produce your video, creates, oop, I just hit it, a table of contents like this so that your students or whoever's viewing your video can see the different sections of your video, click on any of those, and then jump to that part of the video. So if you have like 5 different lessons in one video, they can go back and review this one that they want specifically. Oh, should I show that how it works first or go on to searching? Oh, I'll show it. So to make a table of contents, this is drawn entirely from the markers that you add on your timeline. So the easiest way to do this is to make your entire video, have everything edited together, and then go through and using either, and this is on the Windows side, so using the hotkey M, that'll just add a marker to my timeline here. I'm kind of blocking it a little bit. And then I can rename that to something more specific like part 1 or problem 1, something like that. And once I get to the end and produce and share, oh, right there. Oh, actually, I won't show that, but yeah, if you shared a screencast, yep.
Created some videos in 7 for the PC without tables of contents. Is this something that I can go back to and add in and reproduce?
Yeah. Oh, repeating the question. So he was asking if he's already made videos, can he later add a table of contents? You could bring that video back in and add markers and then reproduce it. So yes, but you have to make another copy of it at the end. And do you want to show how that works on the Mac side?
On the Mac side, you still use the marker track to do the table of contents. The hotkey for that is going to be Option M instead of just M. It creates what we call a global marker here. And you can still rename that. And if you create a slew of them, those are each going to create a marker in the table of contents that you'll see in the final video player. So the player will look just like it does for the Windows video. That doesn't change in how it's produced. The track just looks a little bit different. Any questions on the Mac side? Does Yes. Thank you, Stephen. Yes, it does. I think they function the same way. Isn't that correct? The global marker and the markers that are attached to the media themselves both act as entries into the table of contents. That's correct.
Cool. So I guess jumping back over to the Windows side, another cool interactive feature is that you can use the, there we go, the captions feature to make your videos searchable. So, for example, here's one of our videos. So if you go through and add closed captions, you can see they'll show up down here. But also, once you go through and add that text, you get the same thing that looks the table of contents area, but this is now an entirely searchable access point to my video. So say I need to find where I was talking about quizzing, I type that into the search bar and it shows me everywhere in the video where the word quiz was used, and I can then jump to that point. So if I'm thinking, or I guess in this case, one of your students or something is thinking, I know she was talking about quizzing, but I can't remember where it was. They can then search the video and jump directly to that portion of the video instead of having to try to scrub through and find that part. And I guess a quick introduction on doing that. If you go to the Captions tab, which if it's not initially visible, if you click on the More tab here, it will appear. And you can just click on that and it'll show in the last area there. You can either, usually what I do is I'll type out the script outside and then copy and paste everything in, but you can also copy them in here. The captions are limited to 3 lines apiece, and it tries to help you keep them ADA compliant, which is another great option. But yeah, all of the text that you add here when you produce and share to screencast.com automatically becomes that searchable database for you.
A quick question with regard to the text. So it's embedded so it can be used as search later. Can it be used for SEO purposes or anything else as almost a transcript of what's happening in the video?
I don't believe so. Can you? Sorry, the question was, can the searchable text be used for SEO purposes? And Matt is our expert on this, so.
No, I'm not an expert on this, but from the player perspective, Google does not pick up the captions from my understanding from the videos here. But what you should be doing then is building your page and using those captions around on your page. So you could put a transcript below the video, and that's what will help with your SEO. And there's probably some other things you could do in the metadata, but what you probably don't want to do is dump the captions into the metadata. I don't think Google would like that. But use that. I would use that transcript on the page. I've seen actually some really nice examples of sites, and I can't think of them off the top of my head in my kind of, at the end of the Screencast camp weekend state. But you just give them that as an option. The other really good thing about that is then users can kind of skim through and say, oh, around this time, that's the part I'm really interested. So it gives some options for your users as well.
So if you just end up copying your transcript and your time code towards the end and actually do double duty, you just have to make that extra step.
Yeah, the thing that I'm not sure how you do, and maybe one of our Camtasia devs would, if you wanted that timestamp to be like a clickable link like you do in YouTube, I'm not sure you can jump to a point in time in your video if you're hosting it yourself, but at least it gives them an option to say, oh, at 37 seconds, Matt was talking about this. That's exactly where I want to start.
Thanks, Matt. Did you want to show the captioning in Mac at all? Oh, yeah, I should probably show. Can it up here? I have such a small space here that it does not want to show up. Here we go. So again, the captions also get added to a track up above, so you can adjust them in and out and have them line up correctly. And I'm not going to go into it here, but we do have a series of video tutorials on adding captions that I'll add. We'll add the links to those to the Google Doc at the end.
So it's the same on the Mac. To add captions, once you have your audio files, you have to make sure you have audio in your project. That's an important note. So you can't make it searchable without an audio track. But you can just go to Edit, Add Captions. It adds a caption track up here. If you double click on that, you can enter the text for that clip there, changing the duration of the caption here. So I'll just put a sample text in there. And then this button will play it back that clip, so you can make sure that your audio is synced up with your text there. And then stop. So you can see the caption present here. Any questions on the Mac side? No. Okay.
I just wanted to ask you, confirm with Windows, you can certainly have captions without it.
Yeah, I was getting clear. Yeah, just clarify. You can. Yeah. The question was if you can do the captions track on Windows without having audio, and you can do it. It's just on the Mac that you have to have the audio track.
Technically, if you import like an SRT file, create a captions without any audio. That's the only way to do it on the Mac side.
Okay, and that's from Stephen Wagner on the Mac development team. So he's saying if you import an SRT, you can get around the having the audio.
Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you for adding that. Cool.
Sure. All right. So the next interactive feature that we're going to take a look at is hotspots. These are basically areas of your screen that are clickable. There are basically 4 different types of hotspots. There's ones that just pause the video and they have to click in order to continue. Ones where you can have it jump to a specific time in the video or to a marker that you've set in the video, and also hotspots that jump to another URL outside. So a couple examples of how we've used those. So this is our SCORM video, and there are different ways of doing this depending on whether you're using quizzing or whether you are only creating video. So we've created 2 tracks in here, and depending on what you want to learn, you just choose the hotspot that you want. And I'm going to hide these here. So if I'm wanting to watch this, I would click on this hotspot. If I want to watch the video only track, I just click on that hotspot and it then jumps me to that point on the timeline. Another way to use that I've seen, people will have either the option to continue on in the video or re-watch a specific session or section. So you can ask, hey, did you get that? Do you need to watch that again? And then they can easily just click on the hotspot, jump back to the beginning of that section and watch it again in a very continuous fashion. Another way that we use it is if you have a series of videos that you want to connect together, having a hotspot at the end that will jump to the next video is an easy way to get them there. So here you can see that we have either a little too far, the link to the next tutorial or a place to share your feedback. And you can see that these are clickable links and just jump to that next spot. So there we go. So on the Windows side, the hotspots are treated either as something that you can add as a distinct call out, or you can make any other call out a hotspot. So for example, adding just a transparent hotspot is this icon down here at the bottom of the callouts list. And I can just add that down here to my timeline and drag it around any area. So anywhere inside this box is now a clickable hotspot. And the second way, if I add this circle callout or any callout, if I scroll down to the bottom here, I can make any of these callouts into a hotspot. So this circle will be a clickable hotspot. In order to decide which type of hotspot you want it to be, you just choose the hotspot properties option. And this allows you to set whether you want it to be a click to continue, a go to frame at time, which is just sending it to a specific time in your video, going to a marker, or jumping to a URL. Typically, if I have to choose between going to a frame at time and going to a marker, I typically default to going to a marker, just because that's a really easy way for me to set exactly where I want it to jump to and then choose that marker.
I'll just add that it's generally better practice too, if you start inserting other things, you have to go to a specific point in time, and that gets changed over time. So if you added another segment, at least your marker will be like that.
Right, and just to repeat that, the other issue with choosing the go or jump to a specific time is if you continue editing after that, what's visible at that time will change, whereas the marker will move with the section of video that you've edited, as long as it's a media marker.
I was going to say, best practices, hotspots are one of the last things you put in your video.
Yes. So yeah, just to repeat, pretty much anything having to do with interactivity, have your video edited to production quality, and then start adding your hotspots, your closed captions, all of that kind of stuff. Question?
So if I understand it correctly, you cannot use the hotspot if you're producing your video to Windows or WMV media file?
That's correct. The hotspots only work in an MP4 with our video player. And like I said, the least technical way to do that is just to produce to screencast.com, and then either sharing that link or using the embed code from screencast.com on your blog or CMS. Theoretically, it should. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Thank you. So the question was, if you produce a SCORM package and upload it to your CMS, will the interactive features still work? And theoretically, it should. We haven't tried that with every. They do. And for the streaming audience, so we have confirmation that it has worked with Moodle. So good on that. Try
If you were looking at Windows and you set up a hotspot property, to jump to URL, there's another option you have on the property screen to say open in a separate browser window.
Yeah, and that's so he was mentioning that if you choose the jump to URL button, you can either have it jump within that same window or tab that they're working in, or have it open in another browser or tab.
The reason I brought it up is so far in H, I can't make that work. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but it will. I've never been able to get it open a second browser window. So maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I just wanted to bring that. It will open sometimes another tab in the same browser. So never, I don't get it.
Yeah. You guys got that? Cool. Okay. Right. No, thanks for sharing that. So do you want to jump to hotspots on the Mac side? Or do we have any more questions about hotspots on the Windows side? All right. Jump to Mac.
It's a little different on the Mac side. Woo! So I'm not showing the same thing. The same functionality exists. Basic principles of how you're going to get it to work, what it's going to look like in the player is the same. However, ours, hotspots, you can find under the video effects tab. And so you would click and drag this onto a media. For example, if I wanted to use this sketch motion call out at the end of my video, and I want people to be able to click on that and go to our website, because that would be cool. What I'm going to do is go to the video effects tab and click and drag this interactive hotspot effect right down on top of that. The bubble pops up saying that it's been added, and if I open the effects drawer, I can see that it is there. Where you're going to edit and choose the behaviors is in the properties panel over here on the right hand side. And so we have the same options that Cait had. We have a pause at end, send to a URL, choose the timestamp, and click to continue. So if I wanted to add our website, I would just do and then they would be able to click on our sketch motion call out here and go to our website in the produced video. No, we don't have that checkbox. To be honest, I didn't realize the difference between the two until I just saw it there. Marker. So that's grayed out because I currently have no markers in my video. If I were to add one here, and I'm going to move that back. Now I have the option, and it's there. Huh? Oh, here we go. What is... Oh, there we go. So if you test it, I'm like, wait a second.
You can make sure you got the right URL in there.
Yep. Yeah, so that tests the functionality. If you were to click it, what would happen? It launches the URL, or if I were to select the marker here and hit test, it would jump back to the marker. So it's a good way to check and balance. Any questions on the Mac side? Okay.
All right, so the last interactive feature in Camtasia is the quizzing function. So this is a great way to give your students like either a quick quiz on the content or survey them just to see if they understood. And an example of how this looks in your video. So when you produce a video with a quiz, you'll see where the quizzes show up down here in the player. And so students will have the option to take the quiz. It pops up a box like this, choose their answers, and there's only one question in this quiz, so I then submit my answer. And then you can allow them to check their answers and see whether they got it right, or you have the option to hide that from them as well. So the quizzing is built into Camtasia Studio, and you can find it down here in the More tab if it's not already showing in here. So I'm just going to choose Quizzing. And there are multiple ways of adding the quiz to the timeline. I can use this button here, and it'll add it right where my playhead is. I can also use the hotkey Q, and that'll add a quiz as well. And I can click and drag these along the timeline to determine what time I want them at. Again, as with the other interactive features, like we recommend that you add quizzes at the very end, so if you do other editing, it doesn't really mess up where you have your quiz. And quizzes work very similarly to markers. They can either be attached to the timeline as a global quiz, or attached to a specific piece of media as a media quiz. So if I have, I guess here the call out, if I move this track at all, the quiz will follow along. So that can be a little helpful if you know, like, okay, I need this quiz to show up when this particular frame is showing. That's when those are useful. And to edit the quizzes, you work in this pane over here. You can add multiple questions, decide whether you want them to be multiple choice, fill in the blank, short answer, or true and false, and then add all of your answer choices, the text for the question, etc. And you also have this preview button here, so you can check out how that quiz is going to show up on the timeline, so you don't have to go through the whole process of producing the video to check and see if the quiz is going to look the way you want it to. The other options are to either score the quiz or not. So if you want to get a graded result, you'll need to make sure that the score quiz is checked. And here's where you can decide whether or not the students can review their answers after they've submitted them. If you let them see the answers, they can't go back and change them once they know they got them wrong. It just lets them know right away, oh, I got this right, I didn't get this right. I think, any other questions on quizzing on the Windows side?
When quizzes are scored, you said about getting the results. How would a teacher, a facilitator, a trainer get those results?
Currently, we send, when you produce, you get the option to here we go. So when you add a quiz to your video, as you produce, you'll end up at this quiz reporting options. And right now the option is to report the quiz results through email. You can also report or create a Scorum content package if you have a learning management system or something that allows you to use Scorum content packages, and it will report the results that way. If you report the quiz results through email, every day that results come in for the quiz, you'll receive an email with all the new results for that day. And actually here, I'm going to show the Scorum option as well. Yeah, so as long as you're not, there we go. Oh yeah, so now you can choose to either have it report through Scorum, report results through email, or both. I usually recommend choosing both options because Scorum will report a pass or fail, but the email will give you more detailed results, so you can see exactly which questions students got right, what answers they chose, and if you do fill in the blank questions, the only way to get those results is through email currently.
So it will tell you the percentage, how many people chose that, but not by individual user?
It'll tell you whether the individual user passed or failed, and what percentage they got right, but you won't be able to look at the individual user's answers. So you'll get a grade for each student, you just won't know how they did on each individual question. So if you choose both, it'll automatically add the grade to your gradebook and score them, but you'll also be able to get a better idea of how the students did on the individual questions. Are we sending them to Fathom still?
I'm not sure if that's just the beta or
Or is that,
live.
is that live?
On the studio?
The result service, is that live? Okay. Also, we've just released another reporting service. So when you receive the email with the quiz results, you'll get a link to that reporting service, and that'll allow you to access the results of your quizzes as well, instead of waiting for the email each time. Any other questions on quizzing? All right, cool. So that's all we have for interactive features. So we want to open it up now and see, are there any other advanced features that you guys have been wondering how to use or have questions about?
Well,